And so, I've actually been reviewing quite a few AVerMedia products as of late, since on this channel I do tend to talk about good streaming gear, well, for streaming, and even content creation to that extent. However, AVerMedia was actually a brand that I hadn't really looked into all that much up until fairly recently, thanks to you guys' recommendations, and let's just say that I am definitely happy that I went ahead and explored quite a few other products. In fact, today's video is going to be recorded with AVerMedia's live streamer mic 330, and I am going to be using the AVerMedia Nexus as my audio interface of choice here. Well, not so much of choice, because I am using this to kind of be able to give you guys like a full and complete picture of how I feel about AVerMedia's products in general. Here I've actually got a total of about 6 products, and I am going to be talking about all of them briefly and then telling you how I feel about each one, whether or not I feel it's worth it for the price and the things that they offer. So with that said, are AVerMedia products actually worth it? Well, that's what we're here to find out in today's video, so do make sure to stick around for that. Before we continue, don't forget that I have a Twitch channel that you can go ahead and follow me on for live microphone reviews and much more than that. But you're also going to find my Instagram and a link to the Tech Summit Discord in the description. So come join the community because it is a pretty cool one. We've also opened up a Patreon as of late where if you join, you'll be automatically entered to win one tech gadget every month in our exclusive giveaways. Details to that are going to be down below. Don't forget to check out the description for everything. Now let's get right into the video. We're going to start from cheapest to most expensive piece of tech that I have here. Granted, I don't have every piece of AVerMedia tech that has ever been made. I just have some of the more popular ones, I would say, as of now, and the ones that I could afford, quite frankly, since I of course, you have to keep that into consideration. So first things first, since we are going to start off with the cheaper ones, let's start off with this one over here. And technically, 2 things fit in this box, and this bundle actually comes with both a capture card and of course a webcam. And this right here, actually, this is the correct box over here. Now this box over here comes with both a capture card and a webcam. However, you can still buy them separately, and right now I am going to be talking about the camera that is included in here, the webcam, and in this case that is going to be the AVerMedia Cam 313. So this is going to be a 1080p 60 webcam that at first might actually seem pretty appealing. Like, the construction is going to consist of plastic for the entirety of it. I am a fan of the mounting system, and I also do like that it has a privacy screen for it, for people who really don't like to leave that lens exposed, especially when it's not being used. So I think that is a pretty cool feature to use. Now it just plugs straight onto your USB port. However, my one issue with it over here is really just going to be, like, beside the microphones on it, the built-in microphones, you want this for the visual fidelity, not for the microphones at all. And when it comes to the visual fidelity itself, I would say that it falters a bit there, but it's not really that bad, because considering that this webcam is somewhere around $40 to $60, I want to say, like by itself at MSRP, this webcam I think is honestly going to be fine for the money. It does offer 1080p 60, which is still pretty good. It's just not very good looking 1080p 60. You're going to have to do a lot of work in post actually to get that to work best for you. Not really be such a fan of having to do that kind of thing. If you wanted a webcam that looked good out of the box, the AVerMedia Live Streamer Cam 313 is not the webcam that you're looking for. So at $60, this is a pretty strong maybe, which might sound a little bit odd. I would say that it mostly depends. If you want to tinker with this webcam, then sure, go ahead and go with it, and hopefully you have enough light sources to help this camera retain its sharpness all throughout. But if you don't, then this webcam really might not be so worth it for you. And yeah, that's essentially my verdict. My verdict is probably more so leaning towards no, in case of anything. On the contrary, for actually another thing that is technically included in this bundle, and that is going to be the capture card itself, which on its own, if I'm not mistaken, does cost around $80 or so. And it is a pretty cool capture card. It is comprised of plastic. It's a very small one, and it does have an RGB light that isn't customizable. So like essentially, it pretty much just tells you that it is indeed active. However, it'll tell you in red when it is recording and being used for those purposes. So I do think that that's pretty cool. It does operate over micro USB, which I'm not exactly exactly the biggest fan of, but I do think that that's okay. So in terms of performance, I have used this to capture game footage in the past, 1080p footage. Since this thing is capable of capturing 1080p 60 at the highest, footage does look pretty good, and it does do a pretty good job of capturing footage. So like initially what I did was actually use this with my PlayStation 5 because I wanted to be able to capture footage from my Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrated Edition gameplay, and I would say that it did do pretty well in that regard, and I've even used it to record Demon's Souls Remake gameplay in the past, and again, like, it has performed totally fine. At times I have encountered stutters, don't get me wrong, that is something that does still happen. However, I would still consider the colors here to be pretty good, to be pretty decent, and I don't really have any complaints about this capture card. I think it's a pretty good value for what it is, which is why I'm going to give AVerMedia's Live Streamer Mini a positive here. I would say that this capture card is indeed worth it. Now, luckily, there is actually going to be a bundle of these two available out there that goes for like around 130 bucks, I think, and that includes both the webcam and capture card itself. And if you were to get your hands on that bundle, then yes, I would say that the combination in tandem might actually be worth it for a lot of people, but on their own, don't really recommend the webcam, but I think that the capture card is totally fine. So now moving on to the next one, and this is actually, I think, one of the best products that they make over here, and this is going to be AVerMedia's USB microphone. So I went ahead and I purchased the AM310 because this is actually also being bundled with these, and this microphone goes for about $80 on its own. Like, by itself, it is comprised of metal. It does have a pretty cool construction, and it does have a pretty unique look to it. It's also got a gain knob all around the front, and you can still monitor your audio with it using the 3.5mm jack around the bottom, and the connection that this uses is USB Type B to USB A, and it appears to work over USB 2.0, not the fastest connection of course, but it'll still do totally fine when it comes to audio for something like this. And this microphone, I was genuinely impressed with it. I thought that they did very well, in fact, when it came to the sound quality of this, because sound rejection is actually fairly decent with this in spite of it being a condenser microphone, and I would say that just like the audio quality itself did sound pretty clear. Plosives were hit or miss, I would say, but it's nothing that a pop filter would not be able to fix. So this microphone gets a very strong recommendation from me, as I've actually already done a separate review of it on this channel, and I do actually like it quite a bit. I've actually got the AVerMedia microphone right in front of me, and I'm actually speaking into it right now, so this is what you should be hearing, even though I am a little bit sick, and that might affect the way that my voice comes across here, so do forgive me for that. 80 bucks is a very good price for a microphone like this, and I can very much strongly recommend it. And now on to the next item. So we are going to be moving up actually a little bit in price only, and we're going to be talking about the microphone I've been using to record this entire review with, this entire video with, and this is going to be an XLR microphone instead. So this is the AVerMedia Live Streamer Mic 330. This microphone I actually really don't like. This microphone, however, does have a lot of good things going for it. It's just that when it comes to the sound quality, you're not going to get much good out of it. So for instance, over here, you do have a metal build to it, which I think feels and looks awesome, to be completely honest. I think that the overall exterior design of it is great, and also the mounting system is really nice, which I very much appreciate. Like, a lot of thought clearly went into the construction of this microphone. My issue with this microphone is just really going to be how it sounds. So this is a cardioid dynamic microphone, and the frequency response isn't exactly like the widest one around. Like, you usually expect 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. It's not exactly that, but it more so sits somewhere in between, so do keep that into consideration. However, this microphone, just in general, when it comes to plosives, does terribly. I actually currently have a windscreen on it that is not included, by the way. I just found one and went ahead and attached it, and this is the kind of sound quality that you should expect with a windscreen, but without it, you would only be hearing plosives essentially. That would just not be a very enjoyable experience, and I don't like that at all. Now, this is actually the only thing that doesn't really operate over software, because it is an XLR microphone. Everything here does operate over software, and I will actually go into greater detail in just a bit, so do keep that into consideration. However, I would consider the live streamer mic, due to its not very good sound quality, not very good sound rejection either, problem with plosives and things like that, I would not consider consider this to be a very good value whatsoever, even at $100. So moving on to the next most expensive thing on the list, which is actually going to be another capture card here. This is going to be the AVerMedia Gamer HD2. So this is going to be a 1080p 60 PCIe capture card. So this actually goes directly into your computer. It doesn't operate over USB at all, and that's actually why I got it, because usually PCIe tends to be a lot faster, it tends to offer better performance in general than USB can. So that's why I went ahead and went for something like this. And not to mention that a capture card like this, because it goes inside of your PC, it can help a lot with clearing out space and, you know, like just not being in the way. It lights up in blue, by the way, whenever your computer is turned on, and I do think that it looks pretty cool in that regard. This uses the exact same software, actually, that the Livestreamer Mini uses in order to be able to record gameplay. Now, you don't have to use the software in particular to record your gameplay, but I actually do like them quite a bit. Continue to use this for recording gameplay for Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I have to say that its performance with the PlayStation 5 has been fantastic. I have noticed a great improvement in stability between the USB model and the PCIe model, so I would definitely say that this is worth the upgrade if you do need that improvement in stability. Remember that this one operates over USB 2.0, so this won't always be the most, like, the best performing capture card out there. However, this goes through PCIe, which is much faster than USB 2.0. So do keep that in mind. This would be a great option, and I have not regretted using this capture card whatsoever. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I think that you will like it too. Plus, it still works totally fine with current gen consoles, like the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, and the same thing is going to go for this USB capture card as well, but I figured that I would go ahead and mention that. This is a great value at about $150. Strongly recommend it. And now the next one is actually going to be another webcam, and this is this is going to be the AVerMedia Live Streamer Cam 513, or the PW513. So this is a very, like, super wide angle 4K webcam from AVerMedia, and this webcam, quite honestly, a pretty good looking one. I think that the image that it produces is pretty good under lower light or more nicely lit conditions and things like that. I think that it is a pretty good performer, not to mention that it offers such a wide field of view. And similarly to the software on something like the Cam 313 over here, since both of them are actually going to be sharing the same piece of software through Cam Engine, which is going to be NVIDIA's own. You can mess around with the lighting, you can mess around with adjusting the color temperature, the exposure, and things like that, and these also offer NVIDIA features that you can use in order to enhance the image in case of anything. So I would consider these to have quite a bit of good software support, though I would also consider these like the software for both of these to be kind of archaic in its look. Like, the software just feels very slow and sluggish when you're using it, and I know that it's not my PC. So I would say that this webcam, even though this is a pretty good webcam and I do like how it looks, I do like what it offers, I think that it is a lot of money to spend on a webcam, because this doesn't look like 4K whatsoever. It looks like actual 1080p or decent 1080p. I would say it does not look like 4K, and you can't really expect a webcam to look like 4K either because of the tiny sensors. So that is something worth keeping into consideration. This is why I'm probably going to say that I don't really recommend this webcam from AVerMedia either, unless you're having a pretty tough time finding yourself like a separate, maybe mirrorless camera to use with your setup, because if you're going to spending this much money on a webcam, you might as well get a mirrorless camera and some kind of capture device to be able to get much better picture quality out of it. So yeah, that's essentially my verdict. And now lastly, the last piece over here is actually going to be a little bit different, and this is going to be the AVerMedia Nexus. So this is going to be an audio interface that is actually a Go XLR, and it's also a Stream Deck, because it does have a touchscreen on board that you can use, and you can essentially treat it as a Stream Deck. Like, you can open up your different scenes, you can set it to open up different pieces of software, control music, mute your microphone, and things like that. Like, you can get quite a bit of functionality out of this. The software still needs a lot of help to make sure that it can actually deliver on that. So far, the most disappointing thing about this is actually going to be with the sample pad itself, because there isn't really that much that you can do with the sample pad right now, at least not that I have found. Mostly, like, these can be put to be linked to other websites, which I really don't know why I would want that. And you are going to get a bunch of knobs around the bottom to be able to control a lot of different things, such as your microphone gain, line in, console gain, system gain, game volume, and chat volume as well, depending on how you have everything routed. This only supports one microphone, by the way, so this would not be a good one to have for having a two-person podcast if you need to be able to connect two microphones to it, quite frankly. However, this does have a ton of RGB lighting, which is great, but the software for this is absolutely atrocious, and as a result, it makes it so that the touchscreen on this is very irresponsive, and it feels incredibly sluggish to use. The software for this doesn't really offer a lot in the way of customization. At least that's what you might think at first. It does have a microphone EQ, though I would consider it to be pretty basic as it is. I think it's fine that it is basic, you know, like it just shows you how to adjust the highs and the lows and the mids, which I think is fine. However, because the software is so sluggish, like, you can never get a very precise reading of what you're actually looking for. Though I do have to say that the monitoring aspect seems to have improved, because I do remember barely being able to hear myself while using this microphone before and having like the mic gain all the way up. So I would say that has most certainly improved, and I am very happy about that. The AVerMedia Nexus is something that I can recommend at $350, but it's something that I would recommend if you were already looking at the Stream Deck and getting a Go XLR separately, because this will give you honestly pretty good value if you're looking for a combination of the two. The software still needs to make it so that this thing can be a lot better, because there's a lot of potential to this. However, right now it's not really the best product out there, but if you need a combination of the two, then this will be a great way of going about it, and I'm sure that it's only going to get better with time. So that is going to be my consensus of the AVerMedia Nexus. It's going to be a big fat maybe or a big fat yes, but you know, keep an eye out for any updates. So with that said, that's pretty much everything that I think about these AVerMedia products. Half of them are duds, and half of them I would not exactly recommend to most people, because I think that AVerMedia did have some missed opportunities here, some things that maybe they should have paid a little bit more attention to before releasing these products. Some of it has to do with pricing, but some of it just has to do with shoddy software and shoddy support. Like, this microphone just sounds awful in my opinion. And I think that the $60 webcam, it's kind of a lazy inclusion here that requires a lot of work from the user. Then you have the $200 webcam over here that doesn't offer actual 4K really. So, you know, like, it's things like that. So are AVerMedia products worth it for streamers or non-streamers? Well, the answer is going to be that it strongly depends on the product, because this company has good products and they have bad products, and they have products that started off really well but just need some help. However, they won't be able to fix the live streamer mic 330 over here, unfortunately, because this is just an XLR microphone, unless they end up giving us more options in the EQ to be able to do more with this microphone, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. So with that said, that has essentially been my verdict, and that is essentially how we feel about AVerMedia. So with that said, thank you so much for watching, and if you are interested in any of the products that I brought up over here, then I am going to be leaving them linked down in the description, and if you were to use any of my links to make a purchase, then I would appreciate that a lot. There's also going to be ABUNDA if you would like to finance any of this instead. I mean, Lord knows I've had to finance quite a few things here, specifically the Nexus, so I am going to be leaving those linked down below as well if you end up using any of my links. And I do get a small commission that does support the channel quite a bit, so I would appreciate that quite a bit, and I would also love to give a very special thanks to my patrons, which the tier 3 patrons, and those are going to be Sada, Wazal, Joe Moss, and Omar. Thank you so much for all of your support, because it really does go a long way. Now for the rest of the tier 2 patrons coming right up. And this is super important. I would just like to give a very special thanks to all of our patrons, which are going to be listed right here on the screen. Again, a massive thanks to you all for supporting us to help us create the kind of content that we bring to you on a day-to-day basis. And thank you so much for supporting the Tech Summit podcast as well. And just remember that if you would like to be a part of this community too, and then do make sure to check out the links to our Patreon, where you don't only get bonus episodes of our podcast, but you also get automatically entered into one of our monthly giveaways of a tech product that we have reviewed that is of at least $50 in value or higher. So links to that down below. And don't forget to follow me on the rest of my social media, like my Instagram and my Twitch, of course, since I do stream over there fairly often. And yeah, I am sweating like a pig in this stupid attic. But with that said, this has been Francisco from Tech Summit. Thank you for watching, and I will be seeing you all later. Enjoy.